we're good.
All right, everybody, thank you for waiting so patiently there as we get things up and running. We have a special episode of League One on the Rocks tonight. We're doing an interview episode with someone who has never been on the show, so this is an extra special one. So to my across from me here in this grid is Brian. You can find him on Twitter at Mediocre Ace. Brian, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Ready to get into the episode and talk to Gary for the first time on the show.
Yeah, and diagonal from me in the Brady Bunch grid here, we got Chip from Walking 90. Chip, how
Howdy.
you doing?
Better than fans of 10 other teams in the league.
Nice. And then directly below me is the man of the hour, Union Omaha's owner, Gary Green. How are you?
I guess doing better than 10 other owners in the league. Well, I should say, yeah, 10. Hopefully 11 by Sunday at 4.
Yeah, let's hope so. Well, before we get too far into everything, is anybody drinking tonight? If so, what are you drinking?
I am not drinking. I'm
Yeah.
I'm in Colorado, so edibles are legal.
Okay.
But I did not take one because I don't want to be up eating all night. So I am, not tonight. But no, I'm not a big drinker. But I found that living in the Rockies, because it's so dry here, I'm drinking more and more beer. So I
Yeah.
guess that's a good thing.
Good thing because there's a ton of breweries in Colorado too.
Yep, yep, I've learned that. Yep.
Yeah.
I was prepared as an avid watcher and listener of the show. I was aware of this bit, so I brought some beer out. So I have Wisp from Lumen
Nice.
Brewing, just won the bronze medal at GABF. They're down in Little Bohemia on 13th Street.
Cool.
Check them out. They donated to the Jerome raffle, so you know they're good folks.
Yep. I'm going to go with Angel's Envy again tonight. Oh, the Kentucky bourbon that I got here. So going to keep on with that one.
I should have had a Modelo because they're such a good sponsor of ours.
They are a good sponsor for you guys.
I don't have any Modelo in the house though, so I can't do that.
Still waiting for the corner kick sponsored by Modelo koozies at the game as a giveaway.
I'm down for that.
But
That's my favorite bit.
What I think is great for them is they're getting all these young kids who aren't drinking age yet to be able to ready to drink Modelo when they're 21 because they're yelling it out.
My 2-year-old shouts up Modelo randomly. And it's
there you go.
It's a good thing he goes to Catholic daycare. Otherwise, there might be a lot of questions.
Well, Gary, to give you a softball here to get the ball rolling here, it's been an incredible season for Union Omaha. Obviously, there's been even more records broken within the club and within the league from their performance this season. I know it's tough to look at the entire season and to really give your thoughts in a very short manner, but I mean, what are your thoughts on the season so far?
Oh wow, I can go on for hours on that. So look, we have a lot of the core from last year. We have Coach Casciato, we have Dom from last year, and look, and before Dom, we had Coach Mims, Jay Mims, and really what we've tried to develop over time is something that is kind of like how do I say it best? A transparent leadership where everybody's goals are known. That's positive. We try to get rid of any of the negativity within organization and just really try to create with the players a family. And we had a dinner last week with the players, and we had a dinner at the beginning of the season. And at the beginning of the season, and I guess this will typify why we're successful. I said, look, we may win, we may lose, but I want you to walk into this movie at the beginning one way, and I want to see you walk out of this movie a different person and a better person. And I want to see boys become men and men become champions. And really, I don't want these players to feel like like transactional. I want them to feel. I want everything to feel like a family. It's why we put everybody on one roof, or try to put as many of the players under one roof. We want them to be together, eat together, because look, you could have a real high payroll team with a lot of big names, but if they're only seeing each other in the locker room as they go by in passing and really don't have that family feel of spending time together and loving each other, I don't think you win. It's such a team sport, and it's just such a team sport. We really focus on team. we really focus on social between the players and one big family. And I think it grows over time. But I give Dom a lot of credit. Like he picks players. You pick players on ability, but on makeup and psychology. And to get the right mix of players and everybody get along, and just to be with these guys the other night at dinner and just seeing how much they love each other. That's what we try to do. That's, win or lose, we want a great group of guys that represent the organization well. And now, with 5 years in, we have a culture that we can actually turn to and say, this is our culture. Instead of hoping for a culture, we have the culture. And we have a great track record that players want to play here. And I've heard that. And I'm not a soccer expert, soccer genius. We've been lucky enough and smart enough to hire two great coaches who are two great recruiters, two great strategists, and great psychologists. And that's what you really need in a great coach. And so, really, hire the right people, stay out of their way, and let them do their job. And I feel like that's what we've been good. But I make it clear that this is not a team of individuals. This is a team of family. Um, I've said to both coaches from day one, me and you need to have the best relationship of any coach and owner in the league if we're going to win. And we continue to have that dialogue. And I've always been a transparent leader. And I want to have a transparent organization, which is kind of why, you guys saw we had a town hall in the middle of the year, and, we kind of got personal and transparent with each other. And I think it made for a better second half of the year. So it's a bit long-winded. It's something that I feel strongly about, but also it's hard to get my arms around because I have so much to say. So, fire away on that. But just we want to have positive vibes. Just want to have positive vibes. And look at this team. Look at what this team has been through. I mean, we gave up with 30 seconds left, we gave up a goal to Sporting before we got the penalty kicks, right? And I got text, oh, you guys are done. You guys are, you're not going to bounce back. And this team just kind of, okay, next. We were in Colorado. We lost the Jaeger Cup match with, just with an early red, and like we're sitting in that altitude, and our guys stepped up 3 days later. They're like, okay, next, we beat you. And like, you just look at that, like there's certain moments in a season where you could define, yourself and define yourself as a team. Tormenta down 2-0. We got that late red in our favor at the end of the half. And, me and the owner of Tormenta, was a great guy. We're sitting there, and we said, who would you rather be? Would you rather be up 2-0 with the red against you, or would you rather be down 2-0 with the red for you? And I was kind of teetering. You guys answered that question, but like our guys came back so strong. And the other night we're down 1-0, and I was like, yeah, we're gonna win this game 2-1, 3-1. Like it just feels like when things get tough, they step up, and that is something that is so much fun to watch. I'm so proud of. So yeah, just some examples, and there are others. And look, we how the team has rallied around Mishak and done that. And it was really hard to play in that Richmond game for them, and we got through it. And it's just been, they've rallied around it. And I think what's happened has even brought everybody closer.
Good.
Very good.
I guess the big takeaway there is don't be Jerry Jones.
Jerry Jones.
Yeah.
We couldn't put curtains on that window if we wanted to for football, but everything else can.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not Jerry Jones. I don't put clauses in contracts that say you need to win a certain amount of games or your contract's over. No.
Or even the buddy pal friend, let's just sit down, let the real guys take care of the football roster stuff. I don't think you know what you're doing. Let's just
No, but I love the difference between owning a minor league baseball team and this is, the minor league baseball team, you say hello to the players, you can get friendly with the players. But these guys, these players, whether 16, to 34 years old, um, I feel like I have 22 sons, and I feel responsible for these young men and kids, young men, um, and I truly want them all to be better people than when they walked into the locker room for the first time. And when we started out the team, like I didn't realize I'd think like that. Like I was like, okay, we're gonna have a soccer team, and we'll work for a stadium, and we'll bring in people, and this connection and attachment to the players and the staff was not something that I really knew about or a feeling I connected to until we won, that championship in 21, and then I realized how much different this is than minor league baseball having the affiliation, and really the Royals had those connections to the players and motivating them and making sure they ate right, and making sure psychologically they were doing what they should be, and um, it's just different. It's a lot different, and I love baseball was my sport growing up, and I know 100 times more about the game of baseball than I do about soccer, but I'm learning.
I mean, I guess that's a good, segue into one of the topics that we have in the outline, because you sold uh, the Omaha Storm Chasers back in September. And I mean, you're a huge baseball supporter. So tell us a little bit about the journey leading to your decision to sell the Chasers and really focus your attention on Union Omaha.
Yeah, no. So owning the Storm Chasers was such an amazing experience, from meeting with Warren Buffett the first time, and having all my numbers and ready to negotiate with him, and all he wanted to do was shoot the shit on baseball and make sure that I love baseball and I knew about baseball. So it was like a baseball quiz that I passed, and just had some great times, and um, being part of the Royals organization, and Dayton Moore and JJ Piccolo really helped me understand Midwest values, and actually understanding Midwest values is so important to running Union Omaha. So in some ways, owning that team really got me ready for this experience. And at the end of the day, you I- I'm not one of those people that can do a lot of things sort of well and be okay with that. So I want to focus on men's and women's soccer. I couldn't focus on, I wasn't doing a good enough job as a managing partner and CEO of the Omaha Storm Chasers. And I'm not somebody who, I don't like to have the title unless I'm doing the work. And I wasn't doing the work anymore. I had done the work for 10 years, and I wasn't. And there's a group of people there that need me involved. Not that we don't have a great staff there, we do have a tremendous staff there, but when you're spending time with one and not the other, it's not great for the leadership quality of the organization that you're not really paying attention to. So there was that, and we have investors that in baseball, a lot of people invest because they want to bring their kids to the game in the locker room and on the field. And a few of our investors, their kids grew up, they weren't coming anymore. And we're like, hey, would you consider selling? And I want to be a good partner. And it's been a while. And I really needed to focus and double down on soccer. So it was kind of an easy decision.
Be honest with us. It's because baseball doesn't have smoke bombs, right?
I was thinking of at the end, like freaking out all the fans and bringing smoke bombs.
You should have. Like, what are they going to say?
Yeah, I mean, there were some times where I wanted to bring soccer elements into baseball, and the baseball people were like, "Nope, don't do you'll
Well, have you
you'll scare the kids and the senior citizens."
have you seen like the Mexican League, like the Tijuana teams and stuff? And that's like kind of what they do down there. It looks pretty crazy.
Have you ever been to the World Baseball Classic?
Even stuff in Korea gets
Yeah.
really intense.
Or
No,
Japan,
no,
even.
the World Baseball Classic in Florida. I saw Dominican play Puerto Rico, and it's like they're having a party and baseball's in the backdrop, and they celebrate life. I hate to say it, they celebrate life so much more and better than we do.
Mhm.
For example, I was in Spain. I've been to probably 500 Springsteen shows. That's my guy. See right here, and For the first time, I went to a Springsteen show in Spain, and I got to tell you, it was like the best show ever because their energy level. Remember, I go to shows in Jersey all the time where he's from. Their energy level was off the charts, and they bring that to everything. It's Europe; they celebrate life, and but that Springsteen show was amazing. It was
Mhm.
amazing. I don't speak a lot of Spanish, but I was talking to these people somehow, and we had a great time.
Yeah, I think another great example of that is when they talk about like Luka Doncic, and they're like, "Oh, I don't know what he's going to do when he goes to the intimidating Boston Celtics garden." It's like, bro played in Serbia where they like light off flares in a 5,000 person
Yeah,
gym and like
Inside,
stand
yeah.
exactly.
shirtless the whole game. I think he's
Yeah.
going to be okay
Mhm.
in Boston where it's $200 a seat. I think he'll be fine.
Yep.
No, it's true. It's true. I spend time in Europe every summer, and this is like the definition of how Americans and Europeans are different. So I go for a month, and I really want to go for like a week or two. And you go there, and the Europeans, you say to your American friends, "I'm going for a month." They're like, "What? You're going to Europe for a month? No way! I can't believe like you're leaving work that long." And you go to Europe, and you're hanging out there with people from all over Europe, and I'm like, "Yeah, we're staying for the month." They're like, "Why only staying for a month?" They're taking 2, 3 months. They're working from home, so it's just such a different attitude over there.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I don't know. Maybe that's why our GDP is so and our economy is so much higher because we work harder.
Yep. And Chip, this is a perfect moment for you to break out your prop and your personal anecdote for
Oh,
Bruce Springsteen too.
perfect. Oh,
All right. All right.
there,
If we talk Springsteen, I'll be on for the
there's
next 3 hours.
there's a note in our thing about favorite songs from albums. So just in case you brought up talk about Springsteen, I have a copy of Original Press
Uh,
Nebraska. I'm trying to get it not goofy. So
are you a
interesting.
vinyl guy? I'm a
I
vinyl
am.
guy.
Yeah,
Oh, I have a lot of vinyl. Yeah.
yeah, I've got more than I'm willing to admit. But yeah, we have two setups in the house. Love it. It's great. I work from home and it's kind of nice at night. We have another setup in our basement, so we'll put that on and read our books, listen to some music, or whatever. But
What's the
Nebraska,
number one album? Is that Nebraska? Is that the one you play the most?
definitely not.
Definitely not. Okay.
Not a dig on that. Right now it's mood dependent. Right now it's probably Sidewinder by Lee Morgan, jazz, trumpet jazz stuff. Been really into him, Chet Baker, that sort of stuff right now.
The number
It's
one,
nice.
the number one album in my house is two: Moana and The Little Mermaid
Oh,
Oh,
on
yeah.
vinyl. That is all. That's it.
Yeah.
got to get the Miss Rachel needs to drop an album, then we'll be set in my house. But no, it's fun because there's like that fun little personal connection for you as well with Bruce Springsteen, and then I know it's not his like seminal album, but that's the album he's said multiple times, like I want to be remembered by this album and everything else. And it's a great album. And like that Starkweather guy is actually buried in Lincoln. And so we were talking about
Oh,
that before the show started. They're doing that movie soon with Chalamet,
yeah,
and I really hope they make it like because the album story is crazy because it's literally like he's in a rented room in a beach house in Jersey, right?
yeah,
And he like read
yeah.
about Starkweather.
Sitting on the end of the bed.
Yeah, and so it's like you could do it if you did like A24 style, you could literally just have it only in that room. And I just gotta imagine it's like him and like William Defoe playing Starkweather, like aged down or something, just like completely unhinged. Like that would be really cool.
You say it's not the seminal album. Some people, I agree with you. Some people say it isn't. I mean, it is. And I got to admit, um, in high school, I wrote a scathing review on the school newspaper about Nebraska. So I was definitely not ahead of my time. I was like, this is boring. What was he thinking? It's depressing. Let's go back to Darkness on the Edge of Town or Born to Run.
Mhm.
I would like to see a movie made about him making Born to Run. Like that's the seminal album,
Mhm.
and to see a movie about Nebraska, I don't want to sound, I'm a Springsteen fan. I want to see a movie about the making of Born to
Yeah,
Run.
like
Darkness on the Edge of Town would be interesting. He was in league 3 years after Born to Run. His attorney, I mean, his agent was suing him. He was suing. That would be interesting to me.
Yeah, I gotta imagine there's some artistic take just because it's like it's not that exciting of a story. He's in there with a 8-track recorder in his bedroom, just like playing guitar at the end of his bed. So it's like there's gotta be. I'm sure there's some weird artsy take they're gonna take, but should
I
be
mean,
interesting.
he's like he went through some some stuff mentally, and there was a little bipolarity there. And during the early part of his career, he was miserable unless he was performing on stage.
Hmm.
And like when he wasn't performing, he just was a unhappy, miserable person. And if you look at some of the documentaries and movies that they're making that have been made about making of Born to Run and Darkness in the Edge of Town, he's horrible. Like to work with, he's just really tough on his guys.
Hmm.
Everything detail oriented that he can't get right. But when he's on stage, he just became a different person. And then he in the show he talks about his father being depressed, and he got some of that rubbed off from his father. So um, again, I think Nebraska is an extension of his depression while he wasn't performing and putting that on an album. And some not one of my favorite Springsteen albums,
Hmm.
but I'm still want to see the movie, but just not one of my favorites.
Oh yeah, and more that was more of me being kind of shocked that he was like, this is the one. But that's I'm sure that's also like promo for the movie more than anything. So I
I
was like,
couldn't get through the
well, that's
book.
weird.
I was reading the book "Deliver Me from Nowhere," and I forgot who the forward is from. It's maybe Gaslight Anthem. The
Mm,
singer. I'm not. No, it wasn't them. But anyway, um, supposedly this album, Nebraska, was defined music for a lot of musicians of that generation, that they could do this with just a tape player and a guitar. So
mhm.
again, not one of my favorites, but I'm going to listen to it tomorrow now that you brought it up and
There you
try to
go.
reconnect with it.
Speaking of musicians,
Sorry to geek out on
oh no,
Springsteen. I'll stop.
you're good. Makes a great segue to our next thing. Speaking of working with musicians, Nick Hexum of the band 311 recently
Yes,
joined the ownership group. What's it been like working with Nick? And let's talk about some of the other ownership. Like, is he still going by
sure.
Ron?
So I got some big news for you guys. Nick Hexum will be at the championship, and he wants to be on the berm. Maybe not the whole game, maybe not the whole game, but he will be there. He's excited. I get texts from Nick in the middle of the games, like at the beginning of the game. He's like, "It's not on ESPN Plus." I'm like, "No, it's Galazzo. It's CBS." So I send him the link. Um, and I think he watches most of the games when he's not touring, because I'll get a text like, "Did you see that goal? That was sick. That was amazing." And like he's really into it, and I love the fact that you know I'm going to say music royalty of Omaha, because to me they're probably the most well-known band out of Omaha, and he's he's such a great guy, um, but he's so into it. And so I can't wait for all you guys to meet him on Sunday afternoon. He's bringing his daughter. He's super psyched.
Nice.
Yeah.
We have Brian Larson in the live chat saying, "Let's go, love 311."
I tried to get him to. I was like, "Hey, how about God Bless America? Maybe the Star Spangled Banner, national anthem." He was like, "Not this time."
Well, have you seen what that gosh, the White Stripes guy's doing right now? He booked
Oh,
a bunch.
Jack White.
Yeah, he booked a bunch of places under like an unassuming name and is just like playing shows. That's what Nick can do. We'll be like,
He's really
oh
doing.
yeah,
He's doing that now, or he did it. He's
he's
currently doing it.
currently doing it, but everyone knows it's him now. But you guys can just
Oh.
be like, oh, the hexes are playing before the show, and he gets to like do a little like acoustic.
I'm friends with Jack White's. Well, I'm not friends. I know Jack White's manager, that I could call him and say, "Hey, where's he performing next?" And I could get that information.
Nice.
But yeah, but I don't know. Was he playing anywhere near Colorado or New York
Well, he just announced
or
Kane's
Omaha?
Ballroom, so there you go.
Where?
Kane's Ballroom in Tulsa.
Tulsa.
It's doing it. It's like not a secret anymore, so people are just like, oh, it's, and they literally just have his name crossed out on like the announcement. So because it's like a new
Okay.
untitled album, yeah. But I
I
guess with
gotta.
that,
I gotta text him. Marty Cordero introduced me because Jack came to a Storm Chasers game once.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then I guess with that too, like we've been adding a lot of guys. Obviously, not everyone is as big of a splash as Nick Hexum, but you have Ron Carson, who's a pretty big name in town with Carson Wealth Management. I know that there's other minor owners added. Is a lot of this just getting more people in the booth or like in the room? Is this kind of increasing investment for the stadium? Kind of how does that work?
Yeah, for the
Just
Ron
adding
has
or
Ron has legally named his changed his name to Omani.
oh,
So
I
I
saw
was
that
on a
on LinkedIn, but I wasn't sure. I was like,
yeah,
is
no,
that really his
I was on a
name
Zoom
now?
call with him today, and I said Ron, and he stopped me. He said, Gary, it's Omani, and I was
Yeah,
like, damn. I was
good
like,
to
because
know.
I just spent the weekend with him and his wife, and actually Mila Kunis and Aston Kutcher, who we're all he's friends with and introduced us, and we're friends with now, and I had to explain to Mila on the car ride over that Ron changed his name to Omani, and she, when you're talking to a celebrity like that, you're new to them, but you feel like you've known them your whole life.
Oh
So
yeah.
I was like, Mila, no, and she's like, what does it mean? And I'm like, I don't know. Let's ask him. And she's like, wow, and like I felt like I was in a movie. And so the short version of it is Omani is stiff winds. Um, it has to do with his relationship, and he's very open about this, so I can
Mhm.
be open about it with his father, and not in a it wasn't a great relationship. So it's kind of his way of acknowledging that, and something that kind of helps. Sometimes things that are negative make you the person you are today, and that's how Omani feels about it. And I almost said Ron. But if you do see him, ask him about it because I'm giving you the much abridged version of
Yeah.
it, but it's stiff winds. It's a nod to some of the tough times he went through in his family and to his success today. And I went to one of his spiritual retreats at his ranch, about 300 people, um, a month ago. And he's an amazing guy. Um, he ran a meditation with about 200 people that I was part of, and the way he walked people through it, um, it's hard to describe, but he's got a way of leading people, and it doesn't matter if they're up here, down here. It doesn't matter the economics of them. Doesn't matter how successful or unsuccessful they are. He has the ability to walk people through a meditation and leadership that I went up to him like, Ron, it's like you have a superpower. And it's really, I sound like, maybe I sound corny talking about it, but he's a really unique and special guy. And you would think a guy running a huge financial firm like that would be like a nuts and bolts numbers guy. And he's really interesting. He's really interesting. And some people you peel the layers and sometimes you're disappointed by what you see. And with Ron, every time I kind of peel the onion a little bit, I'm like, wow. And I love that. And I think we're two of the only burners, guys who went to Burning Man in Omaha. So yeah. So anyway, Nick, we're talking about Nick. Nick's great, loves the matches. I'd love to add um, Gabrielle Union to the
Mhm.
ownership group when the women's team is done. Haven't reached out. Um, there are some local athletes, both male and female, that we've spoken to that I'd like to add, but can't really disclose right now. So anytime we can bring what makes people in Nebraska feel comfortable about sports and about music and culture, um, it's great. The Oakland Roots have the guy from Green Day, Billy something.
Yep.
Jacksonville has Tim Tebow, which can be a lightning rod because of religion and his stances on things. So I wouldn't want to touch that one with a 10-foot pole. And so with all the stuff that happens in soccer and the politics and everything like that.
Got a quick question though. A certain PA announcer asked if he gets a ring this year if Omaha wins. Owen,
Everybody gets a ring. Everybody gets a
oh,
ring. But you know what?
not everyone, but
I would like to do something where everybody gets the availability to, to buy a ring if they
Mhm.
want. They're they're not they're not super expensive unless you get like the really pimped out ones that I get. But it's let's just worry about winning.
Yeah.
So that we know we got a regular the regular season Player Shield Championship. We did medals. Um, so we know we have those. So, but we want 2 out of 3 at the beginning of the season. Between the Jaeger Cup, the regular Player Shield, and the playoff championship. Um, I had a goal. Minimally 1, optimally 2. 3 is too much to ask for. I guess if you want to include the U.S. Open Cup as the 4th, you can, but that we can't really. But we'd love to. Sunday is really important. Love to add the star on the crest, and that'd be really cool. Not
Yeah.
like Northern Colorado, who added the star above the crest because they won the Jaeger Cup.
Well, it's very appropriate though, the green colors for the armed forces on Veterans Day. So salute to them.
Oh yes,
That is what I heard. It wasn't posted anywhere, but that's what it's for. But one of
that
my
was pure luck. Okay.
Yeah. One of my friends, Kyle, told Dom at the beginning of the year that he was going to get a Dom signature tattooed on his body if Dom won the treble. So I'm sure we would gladly have done it, but it's also like for double, maybe you should offer it too. But
so what's if it's the trebles 3? I guess the doubles 2, right?
Yeah,
It's pretty simple. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so the double. Yeah.
So, Gary, we talked about all of the people that are involved in the ownership group and just kind of building upon that a little bit. Just wondering if you guys have regular meetings together, and if you do, what's that kind of like? Do you guys all have the same common desire for that excellence on the field and on and off the field? What's that look like?
I mean, like the ultimate goal is a new stadium, and um, you know, I've said this before, and I again brutally honest, right? I would trade 5 championships for a new stadium, because a new stadium is what makes this thing get the championship and what allows it to project into the Omaha history, right? And really and become the cultural iconic thing that you all see very early on. You're in the ground floor of it, but to scale it, we need a stadium. So really, that's the goal: is the stadium. It's what I spend 100% of my time on. Um, it's such a crazy roller coaster to do this. We're building a stadium in Richmond, and and it's unbelievably hard to get it done. It really is. And soccer becoming popular has at least made it possible. But before soccer became popular over the past 5-7 years and really important in American culture, now with Messi, it was difficult. It was difficult.
And with the building of that stadium comes possible expansion of the front office, because you're going to have an academy team, you're going to have a women's team. Um,
Yeah.
Kind of give us some insight into what you anticipate for the future of the front office.
Yeah, we're gonna have a fully staffed front office, and right now it's combined for the time being. We discussed why there's pros and cons. We discussed that in the open house and the town hall, and I heard you guys loud and clear. Sometimes you feel like the the Union Omaha maybe has lost a little bit of an identity with the combined staff, and I hear you on that, and it makes sense why. The people on the Chaser / UO staff, like Marcus Sabata and Blake Paris, I mean, we got some strong salespeople there, but ultimately, Josh Todd left, who was really our sales guy. Peter was selling. Um, we need to get that back, and I'm really excited about Alexis. Alexis is, the GM, and she's going to be with us a long time, and she's so excited about her position, and I'm so excited for her. I've been busting her chops all week because I was like, look, you have 1 week to get ready for the game. I know you're used to, 52 weeks getting ready for a golf tournament. So, you got to show me you're up for it. And like every time I like say it to like needle her and to motivate her. And I've said it 3 times today. So she's probably sick of me saying it at this point.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the big thing too. Is as fans, it's really easy to see people who are doing a lot with the fans, but then also there's so many people that are behind the scenes. So like with Alexis, I know a lot of her focus has been on like corporate partnerships and lining up money for the stadium and doing all these sponsorship deals and everything else that maybe isn't directly apparent, but it's going to be super important going into the stadium having that all prim and proper because that's going to be a huge revenue stream once you're in the
Yeah,
stadium. Like
yeah,
this,
yeah.
the stadium naming rights alone, if she's working on that's probably worth her weight in gold.
Yeah.
And
And Marty
Connor,
too. Yeah. I
And
mean,
Marty,
yeah, and
we don't forget Marty. We know
don't
Marty.
forget, you know, Marty's taught me a lot about sales. Like Marty is so good at closing deals. I'm a salesperson. Sometimes like I'll have like clients fall into the friend zone. And then I'm like, oh, I'm too close to this person to ask them for money. Like he's so good at that. And I'm like, I got to recognize my strengths and weaknesses. But um, I've learned a lot from him on how to close deals and really show the value. And really, when you sell a sponsorship, it's either ROI or I support the community because you support the community. And you have somebody like Centris who's both, right? They're a great partner. They're looking for ROI and increased members of their credit union, but they're also looking to show they support the community. Mutual of Omaha, Keith Clark, just a tremendous guy and a great partner. They're not doing it for ROI. They're doing it to show they support the community. And when you support the community, I believe the ROI is people wanting to go work there. You have a fan base, and hey, I'm applying for a job at Centris. You know what? They support Union Omaha. I'm applying for a job at Mutual. They support Union Omaha. Dvorak Law Firm. It's not like Dvorak Law Firm is getting law clients from their support of the team. Maybe they are, but I don't think it's transactional. I think it's community. And if one of you guys, I don't know if you want to use an attorney or not, but if you were going to interview at Dvorak Law versus some other law firm, I think because you love the team, you would your preference, although your preference would be maybe more who would give you more salary, but um, who supports the team. And I feel like if you do good things for the community does good things for you. So, um, that's kind of how I drifted away on that question. I'm not sure how it started, but
Oh no, you're
that's
good.
how I feel about that. Yeah.
And I feel like every mid-sized city thinks they're particularly special, but in Omaha, that's what you hear again and again is the corporate partners. Part of what makes Omaha so in line is the corporate partners, the private money, and all the nonprofits and organizations get
Mhm.
together and all push in the same direction to get stuff done.
No,
And
absolutely. And I don't think there's any city in the country that has more philanthropic projects than Omaha.
mhm.
I think Omaha's got the most Fortune 1000 companies per capita of any city in the country. Um, at least that's what I've been telling people. So if you say it enough, it's true,
Well,
right?
my favorite. So Dr. Simmons, who used to run the zoo before he retired, he was quoted in the New York Times because they said, "Well, how do you guys get so much money to do these great projects to become like the top zoo in the country?" And he says, "I don't know. I just start building, and people give me money," which is a great quote. I mean, he
Mhm.
knows why they're getting money, but so much of it is just the alignment of values and everything else. And I think
Well, yeah,
that's part
yeah,
of the big
no,
talk too
yeah,
is
no, it's
downline.
money. It's money too. I mean, look, the Berkshire Hathaway, right? A lot of wealth created. Went like this. Berkshire Hathaway now is very successful, but a normal growth stock. I mean, normal stock with
Mm.
returns. And there's there was a lot of money given out, and I think there's a lot of money still being given out. I'm not sure if it's as much as per capita, if it's much on a real dollar basis
Hmm.
as much as it used to be, because Berkshire, you invest in Berkshire A now, you're going to make a good return, but you're not going to become a billionaire.
No,
right? And so, and so
it beats
I
the
think it's
S&P,
a
but
little
you're not
different now.
5x in it.
But look, we're trying for charitable dollars now, and there's so many great projects out there, and there's a lot of competition. There is, and so I had a really great meeting with Girls Inc. And really want to do more stuff with them, and they have like 15 vehicles that they run, and they get the underprivileged kids to come and do things there at the school. But I think that we have a great opportunity with them on the girls soccer side to really make a difference. And the fact that they have vehicles is really important, because we all want to do good things for North and South Omaha. We want to do good things for the kids who can't afford the right soccer. And I'll get on my soapbox here on this. The pay for I'm just going to transition into my own topic here. Okay, guys.
Oh, you're good. No
Um,
worries.
Yep.
so the pay for play model in this country is such big business, and there are certain sports that have a low barrier to entry, and there's certain sports that have a higher one. And soccer, you see in other countries, like how many people we have in this country. You have 300 million people, a little over 300 million people, and we could barely get out of a group stage, and then forget a knockout stage. Probably should have got beaten by Iran last World Cup. And then you see countries like Croatia, 3.8 million people, and they're in the finals of the World Cup. And we're not getting our best athletes in this country playing soccer because the economic barriers to soccer, to the right to the right technical staff, for the right coaching, and and being a soccer owner now, I feel like I want to do something about that. And so the pay for play model is such that um, the families that have $25,000 or left in combined income um, aren't really able to pay the pay for play model with kids in sports, and over 100,000 or more can. And um, we got to get our best athletes playing soccer, and we're not. And I'll give you an example of the pay for play model. I was on a chartered plane with the Storm Chasers going to the national championship in Vegas. And you have some great Latino players, and you have some great white players. And, the white players they're coming from rich households. They're coming from rich households. They're not coming from poor households. And you don't have any black players anymore. And, I'm good friends with Darryl Strawberry. Like, we had him and Eric Davis, and growing up in Compton and playing baseball, and there's no more black players. It's because of the pay for play model. You got Freddie Freeman, Chipper Jones. I mean, these are white guys from wealthy households. And so I think what we're seeing in soccer in the US is a lot of kids from wealthy households that get the right training. And so what we're pitching, and what I want our soccer development to be, is I want to be able to utilize the stadium, which, by the way, we'll keep open every Sunday to the public. Walk in, walk out, anybody can play on it. And use mini pitches and stadium, and between men's and women's, we'll have maybe 60 players and technical staff, and use that to be able to have an academy, but also have kids from lower income families come and use it. And I think Pace did it and does it when they bring the game kind of to South Omaha, and we're gonna have this great facility. But as we've seen in Omaha, um, if you build it, they don't come. They won't come. It's like we all want diversity. We all want things that help North and South Omaha. But the truth is, transportation is such a big part of getting the kids there to use it. So I don't want to have the shiny object and the shiny people and say, "Hey, come." And Girls Inc., when I went there, I was so impressed, because on a shoestring budget, they have 15 vehicles, and they could use more. And they're bringing the kids there. And it was eye opener. It was inspiring for me to see that. They have a new executive director who's fantastic. And so this soccer complex that we really want to pull across the finish line, Uh, I want it to be more than men's and women's professional soccer. I want it to be a campus where people of all races, of all economic levels, can learn the game of soccer. And the pay for play model, um, I don't know. It is what it is. It's big money. It pisses me off, but I just want to find a way to do something about it when it comes to soccer. Look at basketball, low economic barrier to entry, and look, we have our great best athletes from the inner cities. Imagine if Kobe Bryant or Russell Westbrook played soccer, a slim down Shaq in goal.
Well, you
So
bring up a really good topic. I'm glad you pivoted to this on your own, because it raises a good point here with the pay to play model. When the Union Omaha develops their own academy, you kind of talked about how you want to try to move away from that in some way, shape, or form. Do you want some of the players to pay to play? Do you want some of them to have scholarships? Is this going to be like a corporate partnership model where they're going to pay for the academy? How is that going to work?
yeah, that's a great question, and you know, it's easy to get up on your soapbox and say, "Hey, I want equality," and then when you get off your soapbox, you say, "Hey, I want a business model that works," right? So there's two ways to do it, right? From philanthropy, where you can afford to not give it away to everybody, but keep it discounted, or have certain folks who have a discount or get it for free, and certain folks who have to pay. So it's a great question. You didn't stump me because I've thought about it before, but I don't have an answer.
Yeah.
I don't have an answer for you. To me, it's more important to give the underprivileged and the households with $25,000 or less on their combined income for the household. To me, it's more important to give them an opportunity to play than maybe it is for us to develop a player, a homegrown player, and then sell them to MLS. Um, I don't know. This is we talk about impact. I talk about impact investing a lot, and people talk a lot about the environment and impact investing. Sports, you don't really talk about impact investing, but I think sports can be an impact investment if you're impacting and changing things, correcting wrongs that are right and make it right. So um, we'd love to have an academy. Want to develop the players. I'd love it to be, the people that can afford it pay. The people that can't afford it can't. But how do you execute that? I think saying it like that sounds really easy. We're gonna have to figure out a way to execute that. But we want to get the philanthropic community involved with this campus, and I think we have the unique ability to do something about pay for play with it. But yeah, let's find the next Ozzy Cisneros in South Omaha. That would be perfect. Combination of both, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wish I was saying I was using my break there to get something from my closet instead of chasing down my toddler, but I should have got my Omaha Raptors jersey, which I know you guys talk about a little bit, but don't talk about a lot. That's a group down in South Omaha that one of my friends runs, and they're a free to play academy team. They've sent 5 or 6, Adrian will kill me later, 5 or 6 guys to the MLS academy so far. They train with the team a couple times a month. The players come in for coaching stuff, and it's even stuff like that. Not even at the fully blown out academy level, finding those clubs and like finding the right guys and stuff that they're already doing. That I think doing the academy is going to help even more with just helping out the soccer community.
Absolutely. I like look. I like the academy for data capture for being able to send emails and marketing the teams.
Mm-hmm.
So something like that. But look, there have been teams that lost so much money in the academy almost put the team out of business.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to be very conscious that it's siloed, it's a separate business, it runs itself. It's either got to break even, make money, and really, I think break even is good enough. And if it can't break even, it's got to have some philanthropic support.
Mm-hmm.
And so, um, but really, in the order of things, stadium, women's team, academy for families that can't afford it. And then, once you get involved in the elite academies and the leagues, you start stepping on the toes of some of your fan base, and it's political, and you got to be careful of that. So the fan base isn't going to be mad at you because you're helping kids in North and South Omaha who don't have an opportunity, who don't have transportation to get that opportunity. But if you start messing with the other academies and the other politics, you can kind of cut your nose to spite your face. So
Look at Lexington this year.
exactly.
That's the big, which is, if you're not plugged into like the youth sports stuff, like I would have never thought like, oh cool, they have a free academy for kids, and that's neat. It's like, oh no, that was a third rail for a lot of those clubs.
Yeah, no, I've spoken to people about that and others, and I'd rather get, to me, I'd rather hire somebody who's done it before, let them run the academy, let them run the Union Home on name. But I got to make sure these underprivileged kids get the chance to play soccer. That's impact investing for me, and that's important. And I know Ron Omani feels exactly the same as me, and so that's really important. And again, to go back to him, there's nobody, he's not cutting kind of the Omaha mold, I would say, conservative mold, but there's nobody I've met who cares more about Omaha, deeply loves Nebraska and Omaha, and owns more land, farmland, than Carson. He's amazing.
Before Brian kicks us off with our next line of questioning, we have some comments here in the live chat.
Oh, I don't see the live chat. Can I
Connor
see
Houston
those?
actually has a good comment for you, because he's talking about, even though the naming rights may go to a corporate partner, he's saying that the fans should embrace the new stadium as Gary World instead of Jerry World. I personally like that. I think it's a good name.
My ego's not that big. Although the Storm Chasers did have a mini golf. It wasn't my choice. They surprised me with it, called Gary's Greens.
Okay.
They had a cartoon
Perfect.
face of me. I was pleasantly surprised. And then we had to get rid of it 2 years later because nobody used it. So they got rid of it.
Yeah. I'm sure this has come up because of multiple things that we've talked about, but Chris Johnson coming in here saying reason number 525,600 why Gary is the best owner in USL.
Stop.
And then last one here, Zach Hubel coming in here saying, with Peter gone, will you uphold the tradition of going through the table?
No. 100%. I just had back fusion surgery. And first of all, my wife would kill me and divorce me if I did that for the
Seems
hell
like
I
a
put her
Marty
through on
job.
this.
Marty can do it.
Marty shaved his head for a baseball game. I think that's as far as he'll go. Let's see. Who do we have?
Blake. It's gonna be Blake Paris. He's young. He doesn't
Good.
need
He's young. He can handle it. I just saw a video yesterday. When you wake up at like 3 a.m. and you can't fall asleep, and you just start flicking through reels, and all of a sudden it's 2 hours later, and you're like, okay.
Yep.
I saw this girl, like she was going and she was going to crash through the table. She hit her face each time and she couldn't break the table. And, finally she did. So you just thought of that, but no,
Maybe we just put
I
a
can't
Gary
break
mask
table.
on Brian and have Brian do it.
There you go.
Yeah, I'll go through the table. That's
Did
fine.
Peter do that once? He just did it once, right?
We only
Yeah,
made
I
the,
just did it once.
yeah, we only made the final once with him.
Peter's too. Oh, in the final. Okay.
Because he
I
said
didn't
he's only
realize
going to
that.
do it for the final. So his first year when we made the final, he didn't go through successfully. He said the table was not nice enough.
Peter's too well dressed and pretty to do that. He doesn't look like the typical guy from Buffalo.
I think he took the sport coat off before he did it.
He was trying to be Buffalo. He's just too. When I think of Buffalo, I think of like blue collar. I think of like the Bills. Like I know Peter says he's from there. I need to see proof.
He's apparently.
You can tell him I said that.
Oh no, he's apparently working on coming in for the game. We were chatting, and he's like,
Yep.
He's like, I'm in Miami all week, and it's like, well, Miami, famous horrible weather city. Would you want to come to Nebraska, where it's gonna be 40 with 25-mile northern winds coming at you? That sounds just balmy.
Yeah. Well, look, Peter. Let's give him credit. Peter is responsible for, a lot of this team. He helped us in the off season, get everything set up. He really helped Dom And in some ways, Dom's job has been tougher this year without Peter because, look, Peter was running the business and also part sporting director, right?
Mhm.
And Alexis and I and Marty are certainly not sporting directors. And Peter helped recruit the team last year. And you know, it's it's nice to have a buffer where the coach doesn't have to negotiate with the agent about why a player's not worth it. Sign the player and then got in the locker room and say, "Hey, you're amazing." It's kind of like salary arbitration in baseball where they shit on, it's like,
Yeah.
um, so, I tell Dom all the time, I'm like, and we talk about, I'm like, I didn't realize like you're a coach and a strategist, but you're a psychologist too. Like, because we got these guys that, if you look at the bandwidth of the talent level of the USL, it's here, right? Everybody's really good. And it's how do you get the most out of your players up here and how you get the most out of your players physically with nutrition and things like that. And I just love the way Dom is like a father figure to some of these guys, how he motivates them. And, there have been players, who just haven't been happy with their playing time and left because you can't make everybody, it's not a popularity contest. Um, but he's just he's very smart. I'm surprised that he wasn't a head coach earlier than this because he's really good at what he does.
Well, I think he said that a couple times from the team talks, which is why you should go on Thursday at 7 p.m. at the Dundee Dell.
Yeah,
49
I'll be there. I'll be there. Now
52
you
otherwise.
convinced me. I'll be there. Yeah.
Oh, that was I'm just plugging stuff, but yeah.
Nah, I've been away from my house so much and my kids and my wife. I got to pick my spots now. Yeah.
But I know he's mentioned that before is that he was kind of miffed when he didn't get the El Paso job the first time around, which is why he was like, well, I'm not an assistant anymore. I'm going full bore. I'm getting a head coaching job. And it's clearly paid off for him. And El Paso is being El Paso.
No, I mean, I love that. I mean, Peter really interviewed so many people. He gave us 3 candidates. Um, Marty and myself and Larry did Zooms with all 3 candidates. And we disagree all the time on stuff. Like we were all unanimous, like, this is the guy. This is the guy. And I said, you know what else? I said, he's used to playing soccer in a baseball stadium. So he can't get annoyed with it and he knows how he could deal with it. Now, I don't know if El Paso is lined up like ours is with the same field layout, but Dom has really been great. The Yiddish word is a mensch, and he's a mensch. If you want to look that up, maybe somebody wants to put it
A
in the
wise
chat.
man. You could say he
It's a
has some
mensch. It's a
chutzpah
mensch.
with some of his
That's
decisions sometimes.
he's got chutzpah. Yep.
Well, that's always we have a dumb joke we always say whenever there's a set piece. We always say, well, he was the set piece coach for El Paso before he came to Omaha.
Was he just a set piece coach? I did
No,
not know.
but
I
that
thought
was
he
like
was an
his
assistant coach.
yeah, no, that was his
Okay.
special. His
I thought
specialty though was set pieces though. And it was like the only good thing they did that year that he was there was set pieces.
Well,
And so it was just a dumb
sometimes
little
I don't understand. Like you could explain it to me again, but like like when Connor Doyle used to put in the set, he was our set piece guy, right?
Yep.
They feel like they'd come in low on a line drive. Now they feel like they have more of an arc. I saw Devin he was doing it for Madison over the weekend, and like he just hit one that blew past everybody, and but I love Devin. I wanted him on the team, but I love that kid.
A little expensive this year though.
What? Yeah, I don't know what he makes. Do you know what he makes?
I just heard it was expensive. That's all I heard.
So I said if we play Madison, I said Devin's gonna end up being my Saquon Barkley. So if he beats us, I'm gonna be really pissed because I wanted him on our team.
Well, luckily they lost to Spokane. So Louis Gill, who's in when you call me on
I
phone,
know.
is in your picture.
Yes. I mean, he wasn't a goal scorer for us. All of a sudden, he's a goal scorer this year.
Well, I think just so much of that is like what teams do with certain guys and what the needs were. Because we had a lot of guys that could score last year, and he wanted to slot into an assist maker, which is honestly more important for some teams.
Mm-hmm.
But no,
Yeah,
it's
no, I know. I know Dom was busting his balls. He's like, you're scoring goals now. You didn't score goals for us. He's such a great guy. I'm excited to see him
yeah.
this weekend. Yeah.
I'm trying to think who's the guy that you don't like, Brian. Kroll.
Oh,
You
J.
Oh,
remember
Cole.
you
yeah,
remember Kroll from 2021
yeah. You come in and celebrate on the
multiple
home
times?
pitch in front of the fans. Yeah, that tends to rub people the wrong way.
I mean, why? I mean, did we not treat him right? I mean,
Well, he was stuck behind Dami for 2
oh,
years, which it's like,
all right.
well, who's not going to be stuck behind Dami?
I know. Yeah,
And then,
exactly.
obviously he goes and finds his fortune somewhere else, and so it's like, well, he's doing very well. So I think he was all pro for Tucson, all pro for Madison last year. I think this year he missed out though, but he's doing really
Man,
good. But it's like,
I didn't. I didn't like. I don't like him. It seems to happen a lot on penalty kicks. Like I know the Madison group was like probably taunting the goalie, and I just don't like it when the fans like the players go right up to the fans and they like hold their ears up. I'm like, I don't want our guys doing that.
no, but
Just
yeah,
win, win, and like don't taunt the fans. Like
yeah.
they're I don't like that.
The Chicago fans still talk about the Omaha players taunting them after beating
See,
them.
I don't want to hear that. That's not what our organization's about. They do talk about that.
Well, we did beat an MLS squad, so it's like if you're gonna do
Yeah.
in League One, I could be like Omaha. Let's maybe not be the braggadocio type, but being an MLS squad, especially the first time.
As a new owner, I didn't understand the importance of the Open Cup and playing an MLS team. I will never. That was the only one I missed. I will never miss an MLS Union Omaha game ever again. Regret that
Mhm.
that I wasn't there for that.
Yeah, and I guess that's a quick question for you. How do you think we prioritize, or how do we think we better promote the Open Cup for maybe fans that don't know what the Open Cup is and like what it means and everything else? Because that SKC game got a lot of people out, but the El Paso game where it's like we win this game, we could play an MLS team, not so much.
Yep. And then mix it up with the Jaeger Cup, right?
Yeah.
So, um, if the Jaeger Cup includes championship teams, I think we have something great. If the Jaeger Cup exists like it is now, I think it's confusing.
Hmm.
Um, I think there's some markets that have really done better with it than we have. I think you guys at our town hall, the feedback that we got from you, we shared with the league, and I think that was really good. Um, but it's kind of you go to a match, you're not sure if it's a Jaeger match or a regular season match, um, and I'm not sure. Um, so there's that. Um, and the fact that I've said Jaeger like 12 times in the past 2 minutes, I mean, they're getting their money's worth, right?
Yeah.
The Open Cup, MLS was in charge of marketing it. They did a shitty job, and then they pulled out of it because they said it wasn't run properly or it was on shitty pitches or whatever. And um, American soccer is different. We don't have pro rel. We don't have you know, we have playoffs and um, it's the FA Cup in Europe is just so cool. It's so good. And USL teams were fighting when the Open Cup when MLS was in it. Um, the lower ranking team should always get the home game because I mean, how much cooler is it to go to that game at UNO, even if you're an SKC fan, versus where SKC plays in Kansas City. So um, I don't know the answer to that, but if MLS, how many teams did they have this year? Six,
Eight, six,
eight,
eight. Some it was
I think it
low.
was
8. They had
yeah
8.
eight.
eight's going to drop down, right?
That
Not
has
going to
not
go
been
up.
announced. That has not been announced unless you want to drop
No,
some
no,
news
I don't
that I
know
know
any.
about.
I don't have any information that you don't.
Well, it's
But I
just
got
like with this year, they were weirdly posturing that it was going to be all teams, and then it was no teams, and it was 8 teams, and then so I just think that's the thing is the asymmetrical level of information they're providing is particular to their negotiation advantage.
yeah, MLS is fucking with is fucking with the soccer ecosystem here,
Hmm.
because it's about money. And look at the Jaeger Cup, or um turns into USL Championship and League One. Um, that's kind of and MLS continues to drop down. Isn't that the new Open Cup?
Yeah.
Without the lower level teams, I know it's not including teams like the Des Moines and some of the lower level teams. I get
El
it.
Farolito, the Burrito
Yeah.
Boys.
But if USL Championship, that happens. I don't know the status of that, so I have no information for you.
Oh, I don't think
Um,
there is any
yeah,
update right now. I think it's just
yeah.
purposefully like very up in the air on their part.
Well, I could tell you that the USL League One teams did it because we wanted to show them um, um, proof, the concept of how it could work. And if if you're a USL Championship team, I understand why losing to a lower level or playing a lower level team maybe wouldn't get the fans. But like you said, we played El Paso. We didn't get a great turnout, and it's not like we didn't market the shit out of that. We did.
Mhm.
We're doing a lot with geofencing and really targeting where young people are hanging out. We're targeting soccer events, and we sit in these business meeting with Jack and Marty and Alexis, and Sherry Durier, and we're like, okay, what are we gonna geofence this week, and like what can we hit? So, um, I didn't. If you asked me 2 years ago, I didn't know what a geofence was. Um, so, we try to be very precise. We understand that once somebody visits once, they're going to come back. The question is, how many times will they come back? Um, and I do feel like when we started our season in COVID year 2020, when we sold out every match for 2,400, we missed an opportunity because the inaugural year is really important. Um, I think we could have been drawing in a normal year. We could have sold 6,000 tickets a game and had a 4,000 turntile because it was new. And I still feel like that has dominoes now, that I feel like our attendance would be higher if we started in, let's say, 22. 21 was still a little bit COVID. So I still feel that that lingers because those early fans that we didn't get haven't come. So, um, that's always in my head, that I was smart enough to start a team with an inaugural year during COVID at the foresight.
Well,
And it
I
was tough to
mean,
get tough to get a ticket with the 20. And at the time,
Yeah.
Nebraska was so lenient on COVID. I think we were one of the highest attendance sporting events in the country at the time.
Yeah.
mhm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, it helped because it was so spread out at which
Mhm.
it's always funny to hear when people say, well, it doesn't even look like 3,000 people. And it's like, this is like the toddler thing where you cut a piece of chicken into 5 pieces, another into two. It's the same amount, it's just spread out.
Yeah.
But with
I
the
mean,
state,
9,023, they say is the capacity. I think it's more like 8. But um, look, we talk about it all the time. The stadium's too big for the Storm Chasers, too.
Mhm. And I guess that's a good segue. But with the stadium, that's going to be essentially a nice relaunch, a little debutante party for Union Omaha. Relaunch the city, relaunch into a new space. Kind of what's happening with that? Is there anything that fans should be aware of, or people around the country should be aware of with the stadium launch?
Yeah, I mean, we're still working at it. Um, I got to say, um, you put things out there, you put renderings, and people slap you on the back and say, "Hey, congratulations!" And there's still so much more work to do.
Mm-hmm.
There's no congratulations or high fives yet. It's something that we're working towards, um, and it has to happen for this club. It has to. No soccer club is gonna make it without their own stadium.
Mm-hmm.
And studies show baseball stadiums that moved to soccer stadiums, or old stadiums that moved to new stadiums, like Sporting Kansas City played in T-Bone and Louisville. Attendance goes up 3 to 4x. So imagine if our attendance is 9,000 or 8,000 or 10,000, or then think about all the popular USL cities that the MLS is going to take over, like Indianapolis and Phoenix, and you probably know some others, because the
Vegas.
MLS is going to look at USL success and just gobble it up, right?
Mhm.
I don't have any inside information, but that's Omaha's not big enough for that to happen, and we could end up being, one of the top 3, 4, 5 soccer cities in USL Championship attendance wise.
Well, in the space that you have for the stadium, it seems like you're trying to maximize that potential on the real estate that you have. And it's very similar to what you see in MLB with, say, Atlanta or Chicago or down in Texas. A lot of these teams, it's not just about what's happening in the stadium, but what's happening around the stadium, trying to maximize all that revenue as well.
Oh,
So,
exactly.
are there any features related to the design of the stadium that were inspired by other stadiums, whether it be baseball or soccer around the country?
Not yet. We don't know. It also depends on budget. So we did tour the Kansas City Current Stadium a few months ago, and there are things we like there. Um, so I was surprised by the lack of visibility of sponsors and signage. Uh, Surprised by the size of the suites being so small. I don't know if you know this, but the suites are small, so it pushes people out to watch the match.
Hmm.
They did it on purpose to push people out to watch the match. And that stadium is used twice a month for games, 6 hours at a time. NWSL season is how long? Is it 8 months? 7 months?
Thereabouts, yeah.
Yeah. So that's a stadium that's only used for soccer, grass pitch. Our stadium would be turf. Our stadium would have 300 events a year. Um, so the stadium's got to be a living, breathing company running events and doing things, whether it's flag football or it's rugby or whatnot. So I thought it was interesting sporting. But yeah, I mean, there are things. I went to LAFC. I love the 3250 too. I thought it was insane. Um, I'd love to have something like that. Um, so it all depends on budget. All depends on budget and what we can afford, which is TBD.
And you've also talked about some of the, you're going to open up the stadium on Sundays for everybody to use, all that kind of stuff. Is this also going to be an outdoor concert venue? You've been to Taylor Swift concerts, or are we going to have an Eras tour come through Omaha?
I don't know about an Eras tour. Have you seen Taylor Swift?
No, I have not.
Anybody here? Oh my God.
Maybe
Oh
we'll
my
get
God.
Bon
Like,
Iver.
what?
So maybe we'll get Bon Iver.
She is, I know I'm going to sound like a dork. She's the goat. She's the goat of female music. Like, I always wanted to know what it felt like to be at a Beatles concert in the 60s. It was incredible how much emotion's there. It
Mhm.
was, and I was blown away. And I saw Ringo Starr talk about it, and he's like, "This is what the Beatles were like. This is what it was," and amazing. I actually want to go again. I want to try to go again. It was that. I'm getting chills. I took my daughter. She's 20, and we had been to see her maybe like 5 or 6 years ago. It was good. It's different now. Like when you're seeing somebody who's the best at their game at their peak. She's at her peak. There's nowhere for her to go. You know, I'm used to seeing old fading rock stars that remind me of junior high school and high school, right? That bring me back there. I mean, like the Eagles, like those guys are old. Joe Walsh. Um, I love Springsteen, but I love 1984 Springsteen or 1980 Springsteen better than 2024 Springsteen. So, um, again, she was incredible. I didn't know what to expect. I was blown away. Anyway, enough of that. I sound like a dork.
Well, going back to the features of the stadium, is there any
Yes.
particular feature that you're most excited about?
Oh, so concerts. You mentioned concerts. So concerts, we're figuring it out. Omaha's a Live Nation city. So really, Live Nation dominates the market. So the way we have a consultant, and the way it's been explained to me is that if Live Nation acts go through Omaha, then you have to have the best setup for your size or close to your size that makes it comfortable for load in and load out. It makes it comfortable for the artist. And there's construction costs that comes with that. So really the way to look at this is if you spend X on construction, call it $1 million. That's not the right number, but call it $1 million.
Mhm.
And you have 10 Live Nation shows that are netting $1.5 million, you make back your money in 2 years, right? You net 500,000 each year. So it's basically what is the IRR on construction costs to make it friendly for a Live Nation artist to be there, and what's the investment? Because there's certainly a lot of venues, right? Certainly a lot of venues here. Um, there's no shortage.
Yeah.
So
At the size,
here we
it's
do.
nice though, because it's really you have the Astro Outdoors, which is nice, but it's also in the boons. And
Yep.
then you have Stir, which is my least favorite
Oh
venue in
God,
the
yeah,
city.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like you got it. Omaha Performing Arts really dropped the ball when they didn't build like a 5,000 person amphitheater as part of the Steelhouse. So I think that's an advantage as well because it's going to be on transit. It's going to be downtown. It's not going to be too far from stuff, and it could be
I
nice.
think there's we have consultants
Mhm.
that looked at this, and it's probably not your style of music, but um, there's an EDM or a electronic music scene deficiency in Omaha that we feel like could be met.
Mhm.
So that's what we're hearing anyway.
Yeah.
That's all. We've hired consultants for sponsorship revenue, ticket revenue, concert revenue. It's like we're doing our homework.
Mhm. Well, I know Zach Hubble's in the chat, but I'm sure I'll make the plug here. Billy Strings, get some psychedelic bluegrass in there.
Do we have? Can you see how many people are watching it at each time?
We
Uh,
have 8 right now.
8. Okay.
Yeah.
But now you take this and we post it on social, and
Yeah.
really that's where the views come.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah, it's the live stuff normally is never the big
Well,
push.
sorry to the 8 people that I was late for, so I apologize.
Oh no, you're good. It's late on a Monday with short notice too. So
And Enrique in the chat is actually talking about how one of the stadiums in USL League One handles their situations, because Enrique says Spokane is a good example of what you're talking about. They use a new stadium for concerts. High school teams and the women's team share the facility.
Yeah. No. Spokane really used the hell out of their facility the first year. They really did, and a lot of matches. One of the things that I get concerned about that I think they're dealing with is when you have men's and women's out of the gate. What is the soccer saturation point? Like, I know there's overlap between men's and women's. It can't be completely separate. Um, but what is the saturation level? And yeah, the seasons don't completely overlap, but they partially overlap. And so, what's the appetite for soccer? So, yeah, but I think you gotta, for a team to succeed, they have to have their own stadium. They have to have the stadium be its own living, breathing organism. It's one of the reasons why um, the Los Angeles NWSL team, they sold, because I think the owners there, when you're renting a venue from somebody else for 20 matches and you have to pay, house, and feed the players, the numbers don't add up. You need other sources of revenue driving to be able to support the soccer team.
Yep.
Where'd those guys go? Did they go? They go to the bathroom? They're going to fill up their beers. What's happening?
Must have something. I don't know. Well, a major source of that revenue could come this weekend when Union Omaha hosts Spokane Velocity for the final.
Yep.
Just a simple question about the final. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, where is your excitement level at the moment?
Oh, I mean, my excitement level's a 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, an 11. Um, to be here and it's a tougher road than last year. Last year we had the bye, and then we completely dominated that game and lost. That was a heartbreaker. Um, Honestly, this year, if we lost to Richmond that first game, because what happened with Mishak, I would have. I was numb. Like I was numb from just what happened, right? And then everybody kind of bared down, and Mishak pulled through, and he made it, and he's going to survive. And now it's not. It's we're not numb anymore. Now we're doing it for him. But 2 days later, we were numb. It was like, is it? What are we? What are the emotions? And my emotions at that point, I was excited we won, but without that tragedy, it would have felt like, oh yeah, we won. But I was like, okay, if we lost, I would have been like, hey, you know what? It's not important compared to what happened. And so it's still now. I think we've kind of he's gonna make it. I went to visit him in the hospital last week. Um, not easy, um, not easy for anybody, but knowing he's gonna make it, knowing he's gonna survive. He's strong. He's 34 years old. The fact that he's an incredible athlete is going to help him. Is helping him pull through and get better. Now it feels like the emotion again. But yeah, to be perfectly honest, Richmond, I was like, okay, well, whatever happens, happens. That's not. I've never been like that in any soccer game before while we've owned the team. But that's what putting things in perspective is.
Yeah. And you mentioned earlier in the episode how you were talking about how you felt like you had 20 some odd sons. So having an emotional event like this, especially seeing how the League One community has rallied around and lended their
Yeah.
support in this situation. I mean, tell us a little bit about your feelings on that.
I mean, I was getting phone calls like Alec Papadakis never calls me. Like he called me, left a beautiful message, and I got a call from Connor, who's the from the Players Union, um, and just a lot of people reaching out, making donations. Um, Sporting Kansas City made a donation without really a request, which is really nice on their part. Um, and yeah, I mean, it's I've never been to a burn unit. It was tough. But the kids are in Orlando now. Um, they're not with their parents, but we're we're doing all the things that we can to to make it to make it be as okay as possible. It's not okay, but make it be as okay as possible. And Dom, Coach Casciato, has been to the hospital. I mean, he's been unbelievable, and just going there every day. And him and I feel the same way. We're responsible for these guys, and that's why we hit it off, and that's why we get along so well. So,
And to run with that theme, Jerome was a part of the roster down in Statesboro when you came down to visit us, and you won 3-2, winning the Shield. Now you knew midway
but
through that
he didn't
match.
go out that night. He didn't go out that night.
No. Yeah.
We went out and partied, and he I think Dom said his wife gives him a little bit of a hard time going out, so he didn't go
Yep.
out that night.
Yep.
Well, especially with 34 going out.
We had a good time.
Yeah, 34 going out with the Young Bucks.
What?
I
Nah, well, I'm
that's hard.
59. I'm
That-
59. I was doing shots all night.
That I feel I hurt just hearing that. I did Jaeger
my
shots
God.
after he won the Shield at the watch party at B5 Brewing, and the next morning I was just like, oh, what happened?
Yeah.
Well,
No, I
and
cut
seeing-
you. I cut you off. Go ahead, Rick.
And seeing the way that you guys were, spraying your champagne and everything, I mean, you're fully accustomed to spraying some champagne. So, a silly question here: if spraying champagne was made into an Olympic sport, similar to, say, like archery, do you think you'd be able to take home the gold medal?
I do not, because I didn't have the goggles. I'm missing the goggles.
You were missing the goggles that night. I do remember that.
And
Yeah.
let me tell you, that's I got that. The Storm Chasers kind of taught me that, but They didn't want us to fuck up their locker room, so we did it outside, which was great. It was great because we celebrated. The Shield came. Leo O'Neill was there from the league. The team was like, okay. They started walking into the locker room. I said, hey guys, wait. We pulled out 90 bottles of champagne. These guys had never done that before. It was the cheapest shit there was. It was 90 bottles. I think it was $800. Okay. So like I know it was $800. So and open it up. I'm like, let's go. We start spraying it, pouring it on everybody's heads, and it kept on flowing and flowing. And you can't take for granted, like, there's only so many times you win, right? There's only so many celebrations in life, right? There's more losses, and you got to choose those moments to like maximize them. And it's like, I feel like that's my job as owner, is to maximize that moment for these players, because they're so young, they don't realize maybe it may not happen again, or it may not happen a lot. And so, like, that's part of my job description, right? I want to make this moment special with the tools that I have, which was $800. So to get the champagne. And then we went out, and I'll tell you, we went Statesboro, Georgia. We went to one bar. Um,
The only
and
bar.
with the what?
The only bar. They
No,
seem
No, there's more than one.
they
we
were
went to two. Let me tell you, we went to one, and I'm walking in with our players, our African players, our Latino players, and they wouldn't let us in. And they were like, "Oh, the belts don't have loops. The pants are ripped." Meanwhile, those guys with no shirts on coming on with overalls, and we're like, we say to the guy, "Hey, um, I think you're racist." And I was like I'm not Branch Rickey, fighting the, but we went across the street. They had us. We had a great time. There were so many shots, and we just had a great time, and it felt good to celebrate with the guys. But unfortunately, Mishak didn't go out with us that night,
Yeah.
but most of the guys did, and we had a great. Did you see the video I posted in the elevator?
Yeah.
At
Yeah, I
the,
did. Yeah.
it's so funny.
I know the hotel staff kept saying that you need to keep it down. You were getting
Yeah.
on the verge of getting some noise complaints and everything.
Well, sometimes it's worth to get those.
Yeah. Yeah. So, well, let's hopefully have a bigger celebration on Sunday.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Double the amount of cooks you buy.
Yeah. No, I mean, it should be like Europe, right? 20 game, we 2020, we won the season. That should be more important than 3 games in a playoff, right?
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
what I think.
Yeah.
Well, I guess let's do you guys want to do score predictions since we I mean it's gonna be one-sided Omaha, I suppose, but it's fun anyway.
Spokane's playing great.
They
What
are.
are what are they what are they because what are they doing differently? Like, you guys watch a lot of soccer. What's different about this team that was not there during the season?
So they're finally connecting. So they had only scored 2 goals in the 6 or 7 matches before the playoffs. So they definitely like backed their way in. And then obviously in the NoCo game, they found the back of the net 3 times against one of the stingiest defenses in the league, against one of the toughest teams in the league, against a team that a lot of people were saying probably was the team that they would pick to win the league, which was, and obviously NoCo, there's some other stuff going on there, but that's impressive no matter who you are. And then Madison, they just held on. They held on. And they forced the PKs, and then it's anybody's game.
I feel
And
like
so
Madison's like the Boston Red Sox. Like, Fenway Park is like the best stadium in baseball, but the Red Sox, like, they always lost. But then when they broke through, they kept on winning. So I don't like the fact that our fans are taunting them on Twitter, because Madison's going to win one year, and they're just going to throw it back in your face.
Well, hopefully we won't be in the league anymore when that happens.
They're a good team.
They are, and it's scary this year that they actually like were good on the field too, because they have the money, they have the fans, they have everything else, and it was just a matter of time. But I'm glad that we're not playing them. But But no,
We're playing the second best team in the league right now because we're the best.
exactly. But it should be good, and I think that's the big thing for Spokane is they've won in two different ways. They absolutely shot the lights out, walked Colorado their own stadium, and then they held on tight. Madison kept it coming the entire game. They held down defensively and took it PKs, and so it should be interesting. But I'm a homer, and so I'm going to say Omaha 2-0, just because I'm a homer. No reason besides that.
We have Connor in the live chat throwing his.
I'm not going to predict anything, but guys, I'm going to go on mute and camera off for a second because I got to take a small break.
Cool.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I'll be listening on my AirPods though. Just give me.
We do
give me
have
2
Connor in the
minutes.
live chat giving his score prediction for the final, saying Omaha off to a quick 2-0 lead at half. Spokane, Luis Heel scores one in the first 5 minutes in the second half. Omaha gets a third in the 85th minute for a 3-1 win.
Well, there you go. That's a
Even
good one.
thinks a former Boo host is going to do some scoring that night, too.
Well, it's happened quite frequently.
Yeah.
Right, wrong, or indifferent, but it's happened quite frequently that the former Owl scores. But what do you think, Rich? I guess you're marginally impartial, but you're wearing the Omaha jersey tonight.
I am wearing the Omaha jersey tonight, yeah. I think the middle third of the pitch is going to be an absolute battleground. Joe Gallardo, Pedro Dolabella are going to be completely busy, like standing on their head busy the entire night. Just because of the way that Spokane is set up. If you look at their top line and you go all the way to their back line, there's not much space between those two lines. They really try to use that as a cushion for their defense. And then as soon as they get the ball, you see players streaking forward. Um, so you really have to watch out for the counterattacks with Spokane. And they're a team that's they're a lot like One Knocks, how they're gonna suck you into a low scoring match. And so you have to be really confident that you're going to be able to convert any of the shots that you're going to be putting on goal. Um, Spokane did have some matches where they gave up multiple goals, but if you look down the stretch, there were so many matches where it was a close one. And just look at the playoff matches. Yes, they beat NoCo 3-0. They had to. No, and when I'm saying any of this, I'm not saying this as an insult to them. I'm saying that with the tactics that they had, they were able to convert those chances all in the second half. So they're a team that's going to grind you down, and they're going to go the full 90 minutes. They did the same thing when they went to Madison. They went the full 90 minutes. They went the full 120 minutes. They went to PKs. You got to be clean and precise on your PKs too. The one that Brooks Thompson blocked, he's going to block that kind of a PK 9 times, 10 out of 10, because that was not a good PK.
Mhm.
But I think it's going to be a low scoring affair. I will wait till later in the week to give my score prediction. Brian, what are your general thoughts on the match?
Yeah, I mean, I was the guy that picked Spokane to beat Madison last week. Um, I think a lot of the time when you play a team like Spokane, it really depends on if they get to dictate the kind of match that's played. I think they're fully going to come out and try to dictate the pressure, dictate the amount of pressing Omaha is going to be able to do. I think that if Brooks Thompson has a good game, the game will be good. I think that is their linchpin here. If he plays like he played against Madison, I think Spokane has a pretty good chance in this one. That being said, I mean there's quite a few pieces for Omaha that can be fit in, especially with this being the last game of the season. There's a couple guys out that have been out from injury. You don't know if they will be 100% match fit or not, but Omaha's bench is deeper than Spokane's is. So I fully expect all the subs to be used and the subs to be used in the right locations for both sides. I think it's really going to come down to Omaha has to play their game, and Spokane's going to try to make Omaha play the game that they want to play. So I'm with you, Rich. I'm going to wait until later in the week to actually give a score prediction, but um,
No
I think
prediction here for me.
there's definitely reasons for both teams to be optimistic in this one. I think this is going to be a good final.
And
Yeah.
Brian, you brought up a really good point there when it came to the substitutions and the rosters. When you watch that Spokane match at Ford Madison, they brought off Luis Heel in like the 60th minute.
Mm-hmm.
Lee Veidman saw something in the formations, the way that the teams were battling out. He saw something that required Heel to come off. And you could tell that Luis was unhappy about that decision. It was plain to see in the broadcast as he was walking toward the midline.
Yeah.
But Wiedemann is another one of those coaches who has the tactical acumen to be able to make those changes on the fly, communicate that to his players, and make it happen. I mean, we with the substitutions that he made in that Madison match were pivotal to the team's success. Like to continue grinding out Madison. He saw some mismatches and he went for it.
Yep.
Let me get back on my screen here. Hold on. Oh. Hey guys, so I gotta bounce, I think. Were there
Cool.
any last things that were on the list?
I guess, Gary, do you want to plug any events happening for the finals this week for Omaha?
Any events? You guys know the schedule better than I do. I think Thursday, Dom, at doing the talk. Don't know about the pep rally yet. Friday, Saturday, we're figuring that out. And I think anybody watching this podcast is coming to the match, so I'm pretty sure. So
Yep.
yeah, no, I think it plugs itself. I think I think everybody knows.
Perfect. Well,
yeah.
Enrique
Thanks, guys.
from
love being on.
yeah, thanks for
You
joining
got
us.
another
Yeah, we
question? I'm
appreciate
sorry,
it.
one last question, or
No, I was just gonna say Enrique, a Spokane fan, came in here saying he says it's gonna be a good match as well. He's saying 2-1. Uh, so yeah, and then Chris Johnson coming in here saying thanks, Gary. So Gary, want to take an opportunity here to say a huge thank you for coming onto the show for this interview. We've had a lot of time to chat with you and really appreciate this time. Chip, thanks for making it happen. Thanks for joining us as well. So
sure.
and thanks to everybody for tuning in to another episode of League One on the Rocks.
all right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Love to be on. Thanks.